Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Today on CityCast Boise, the temperatures are high and the calendar is packed. So what events are things that you have to do to make the most of this July in Boise? Every month we put together your must-do local events guide to make life easier. And this time, we have insider tips on enjoying the best fireworks shows, things to know before attending a can't-miss festival, and genius ideas for packing the best park picnic. Our Hey Boise newsletter editor Blake Hunter is here with Boise State Public Radio's George Prentice to share their locals-only recommendations for this July. It's Monday, July 1st. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. So, Blake, let's start off with something free you can do in the area in July. What is something that you recommend people check out?
One of the best food festivals that happens in Boise, I think, happens in July. So the 26th through the 28th is the San Ignacio Festival at the Basque Center in downtown Boise. And so it is free to get into. There's going to be live entertainment. There's so much music going on, and there's so much food. So that's kind of the caveat here, I guess, is that you do have to pay for some of the food. But I think that it's worth it to cough it up because it's such an amazing time. And I think that that's definitely, if people haven't checked out the Basque Block, I know it's a big favorite for a lot of longtime Boiseans, but if people haven't checked it out, this is a really good time to do it.
And Blake, you do have to pay for some food. Are there any free samples or free tasting events that happen during the festival?
I'm not actually sure, but I imagine that you kind of can. I don't know. I mean, George, I think I'd guess that you've been to this festival many times. Do you have any recommendations on that front?
I have. So my cheat is to linger and just golly, I'd like to try this. Can you give me a sense of what that tastes like? It's a little bit like going to an ice cream shop, right? So far it works, but bring an appetite. But, the history of the Basque population in North America, I mean, Boise is kind of, ground zero for them. And San Ignacio, or St. Ignatius in English, they would get together very informally for years back in the 50s in local parks. And then the Basque Block was very informal years ago, and now it's very formal. And as a matter of fact, the city has invested more in that block and made it more walkable. And it's a wonderful festival. I can't wait for it. It's a great pick.
Yeah, I don't know how to say the motto of it in Basque, and I wouldn't even try, but it translates in English to know how to eat and to drink is to know enough. And I think that should be the motto of our summer.
I love it.
That is that could be the motto for July.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll borrow it because it's fantastic. Well, George, what is something free that you think people should definitely be checking out in July?
Well, I'm going to go old school, and I'm going to look at the 4th of July. The 4th of July is going to happen one way or another, so why not embrace it? And the city of Boise checks a few boxes. Yes, they've got a downtown breakfast picnic near the Capitol. And yes, they'll have a parade, usually at 10 a.m. But let's talk fireworks in Ann Morrison Park. Boise does a pretty good job. And this is my excuse to talk a little bit about the company that puts on the fireworks for Boise. And they've been doing it for a number of years. It's a company called Western Display over in Oregon. And I got to tell you a little backstory. So it was a family farm in the mid-20th century, and back in the late 40s, they would be growing herbs and ship them to different customers. And one year, their biggest client in China couldn't pay them in cash or in funds, so they paid them in fireworks. And that began their fireworks company many, many years ago. And then the other part of their backstory, which I love, is that over the years, generation to generation to generation, the business has been operated by women. So great-great-grandmother to great-grandmother to grandmother to the current woman who is Heather Gobey. It's quite an operation, but I love the backstory too. So here's a couple of stories you can swap on the 4th of July, and everyone's going to think, wow, that's such a cool story. So it's your story to steal now.
No, thank you. It's having those little history tidbits. Those are the 4th of July is the perfect time to share those over a meal or just before the fireworks start. Can you tell us more about the fireworks show in Boise? What's going to be happening, how people can check it out and be ready for it?
Yeah, it'll be in Ann Morrison Park. So number one, they close off the park all day long. So no vehicles in and out of the park. By the way, really good excuse to get on a bike or a scooter, possibly on the 4th. But there's parking generally in the area. Fireworks start about dusk. They'll have a really large selection of food and beverage, by the way. I think, about 15 different vendors, plus a beer and wine garden. So they've got you covered there. I like just bringing my own picnic. But lots of music. It's very old-fashioned, but Boise seems to do it right.
Yeah, and I've really been impressed with. I love hearing the background about this fireworks company because I've also always been really impressed with their shows. I think they do a great job. It's always a really exciting show. So I love hearing about how you can go and celebrate our country, and also you're supporting a woman-owned fireworks company.
And if you don't love the idea of going to the park, here's my other hack. Go to a parking ramp and go to the top of the parking ramp anywhere in Boise, and you'll have a great view.
George, I can always count on you for these top insider tips on how to do everything in Boise, because that is a great tip.
Very old school.
I mean, imagine what's more July 4th than floating the river,
right?
And then just right down to the park for the celebration. That sounds pretty incredible.
Where they've got a beer tent.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I love it.
It really is all the things. Boise does do a pretty good job on the 4th of July. So my free pick for July is Meridian Movie Nights. And this takes place on alternating Fridays in Settlers Park. They have this huge blow up movie screen. I love outdoor movies in the summer. It feels like summer. It feels like childhood. It's nostalgic for me. They have concessions, but you can also bring your own food. There's no alcohol allowed in that park. So don't bring that. Don't make that mistake. The movie doesn't have a specific start time. It starts at dusk when it's dark enough that you can see the screen. My insider tip is if you're going to bring a chair, like a regular or some kind of chair to sit on, bring one of those short lawn chairs. And then it's important to note that no one under 18 can go in without an adult. So if you're going to send your teens or your teens wanted to get together, there does need to be an adult accompanying them so that they can get in. And they are showing Kung Fu Panda 4 on July 12th. And on July 26th, they're showing Elemental.
Blake, have you seen these?
I have not seen these two specific movies, but copy paste for July 19th in Boise at the Julia Davis Park at the Gene Harris Bandshell. They're showing the new Wonka movie, which I still also haven't seen. Maybe this is the time.
The new Wonka movie was really good.
I thought it was really sweet. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'll try that out on July 19th, but it's all the same rules and whatnot. But in Boise, there's just one this month, but.
Blake, whether it's in the park in Boise or whether it's one of these inflatable screens, and yeah, they are pretty big considering it's inflatable, I think the quality is really good. Even the sound is pretty good.
They do a really fantastic job organizing it. I'm very impressed. And yeah, like you said, Blake, so it sounds like you can alternate 1 week in Meridian, next week in Boise. Just catch a Friday movie every weekend.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, something else I absolutely love about these guides is our food recommendations, because there are so many great summer options in Boise. I want to throw this to you first, George. What is your summer food recommendation in Boise?
Well, taking a cue from Blake, I want to get ready for the San Ignacio Festival. So I think of paella on the patio in the Basque Block, but it happens every Wednesday and Friday at noon. And the Basque Market, they have a huge paella pan where they get it going and cook it right outside. And you go inside to the market, you give them your money, you get a plate, and you come out and get in line. And this paella is to die for. And it's every Wednesday and Friday at noon. They also do, I think, a paella dinner on first Thursday each month. But I really like the midday paella on the patio.
There can be kind of long lines for this, and it is amazing. When would you recommend people, they can get it at noon. When should they maybe line up or plan on being there to make sure they can get some paella?
Here's my tip. Go to the Basque Market, say about 11:15. Order a beverage, already put your order in, but you can grab a chair inside too if you don't want to be standing for 45 minutes and just linger over your beverage. But people do start queuing up pretty darn early, but you'll probably be pretty close to the front of the line if you get there between 11:15 and 11:30. But go get a beverage, and from inside the market, you can see if a line has started. And as soon as it does, you just pop outside and maybe you're number 2 or 3 in line.
Perfect. So I have to say the paella is fantastic. I've always been super impressed with it. And I recently went to Spain and I got paella in Spain, and it was not as good as the paella at the Basque Block.
Wow.
They do it so, and I got a couple different types of paella. I was like, maybe the first place isn't as good. Maybe, there can be different types of quality and stuff. None of the paella I had in Spain was as good as the paella in the Basque Block in Boise. I don't know if that's, maybe heretical to say, but it was true. The best paella I've ever had is in Boise.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. Ready to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
So, Blake, what is your food recommendation for Boise in July?
Okay, mine is more about getting yourself from point A to point B so that you can hang out in a park, picnic, or this is even if you're about to head out on a camping trip and you need a quick meal, but you want it to there's a real opportunity to make this a really great summer vibe. And that is just some sort of picnicky sandwich. And my 3 recommendations for that are Uncle Giuseppe's, Baguette Deli, and Roosevelt Market. Baguette Deli is up on the bench, and then Roosevelt Market is in the East End, and then Giuseppe's is out towards Eagle. And so they're kind of geographically dispersed, so you can kind of take your pick. But I would recommend trying each of them. I think especially Baguette Deli is my favorite. I've been there 2 or 3 times already this summer because it just feels like such a classic way to just grab a sandwich and then just go to a park and hang out, or go hammock or go on a camping trip or something like that. Those are my picks to just kind of get on the road quickly with a really good sandwich that you don't have to make. And it just it really fills your cup up to do that.
The second we're done, I'm going to Baguette Deli.
You should, okay. As everyone should.
Yeah, Blake, what are you getting there? What sandwiches are you getting when you go to Baguette Deli?
If you haven't been before, I think just trying one of their classic banh mi's. They also have a really good rotisserie chicken baguette sandwich that is delicious. But I feel like more people should know about Baguette Deli. It's up on Franklin and Orchard, right next. It's in the little strip mall next to the Fred Meyer up there. So yeah, get in and get out, and then head to a park. Even if you just take your sandwich and go sit on a park bench for 20 minutes while you're eating it, it's gonna make your day better.
I love that picnic recommendation. Mine is also a picnic recommendation. I don't know, something about Boise and July picnics are just it. But mine, I wanted to recommend a fancy picnic. because
Ooh, okay. So you're just gonna take mine but elevate it. I get it. Okay.
it's not what I do always. I've got me and my three kids. Sometimes I'm like string cheese, applesauce sandwich. Let's go.
Real.
We just got to be outside. But every once in a while, I love to do a fancy picnic. And my favorite place to go get stuff for fancy picnic stuff is Atavola. And they're on Grove in the Linen District. They just have just amazing, amazing things that make a super fancy picnic. So sometimes I get sandwiches there. Their brisket sandwich and their meatloaf sandwich are amazing. They use bread from Gaston's Bakery. So it's fresh, it's local, it's delicious. But then I also have to talk about their salads. They are so good. They have like your standard, like a leafy green salad or like a pesto pasta salad or a fruit salad. But they also have things like sweet potato and pineapple salad that is so delicious. It is so good. I get all this stuff, go to the park, just put out a blanket or a hammock, and it just feels just so, I don't know, fancy and fun. And you're outdoors and you're eating this incredible food and, along the Boise River or in one of the gorgeous parks. I don't know, something about that is just so perfectly summer in Boise to me.
And Lindsay, can I tell you that the folks at Atavola have recently taken over concessions at Idaho Shakespeare?
Oh,
And they've redesigned the cafe. As a matter of fact, they call it the Shakespeare Marketplace now. And you don't even pre-reserve or pre-order anything. You grab a basket, kind of the equivalent of a picnic basket, and you pick up all kinds of different items. They're a little different each time, but a lot of the salads that you just talked about, you can find there too. And that's pretty great.
Okay, that just jogged my memory of another kind of fancy-ish picnic that I think is really peak July as well, which is going to a Great Garden Escape show at the Idaho Botanical Gardens and getting one of their like charcuterie board little picnic situations. Their lineups are always so good every summer, and you're just like, again, it's kind of like low back chair or like picnic blanket is the perfect vibe, and just splurge and just get some food to go with it, and it's magical.
it is. Oh, and in the summer, it's such a perfect setting for those shows.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, let's jump into our final category, which is things you can't miss in July in Boise. Your must do event or thing that really is just quintessential July. I'm going to throw this to you, Blake. What should people absolutely be doing in July?
This is a really good time to try to get your outdoor recreation in. And so I think that this is a really good time to go just try to hit some hikes. I am personally committing to trying to hike the 4 Grand Slam peaks doing one a week in July. But I've never done any of them, so I can't say that this is my must do. But that I definitely want to get that in there because this is a great season. Early morning hikes or like late night hikes, not late night, but like, late evening.
You're out there at midnight.
Before the sun. Yeah, literally. But I think that my go-to thing that I have to do every summer, I've already done it this summer, but every July for sure, is go to a Hawks game. The Boise Hawks baseball team, one, they're pretty good this year. It's so wildly entertaining because you never know what they're going to do in between the innings. And there's always something going on. They're always doing something to catch your attention. The people there are so nice. The food is so good. And so I think that that's a have to do event. And you can do it like pretty cheaply as well. And I think that it's really fun. They almost always do the little like kids potato race where they have the different kinds of potatoes, try to run a little race around the I don't know any baseball terminology, y'all. And last time I went, the tater tot did not do well. And that was a little bit difficult to watch. But, everyone's cheering on, so it's a great time. And there's just so many little things that you can do. Like you can go just sitting in a different section of the stands each time that you go, you're going to get a different experience. And I can't recommend it enough.
Wow.
It is so fun. In July, too, you got to be getting that helmet of ice cream.
Yes. Yeah, you have to go get that. They also have root beer floats, which are really delicious. And I feel like you can't find them that often. But yeah, you got to go and get the little helmet. I wish that, sometimes the Hawks folks do listen to this podcast sometimes. So I'm just pitching this as an idea. I wish that they had a new design on the little helmets, the ice cream helmets every year, because I would love to have a collectible. I'd have like 5 or 6 years stacked up by now. But I think that's a good idea.
So, George, what is your must-do July activity in Boise?
So must do in Boise. For me, it's going to be the Paris Olympics. What? Paris Olympics in Boise? But yeah, they're going to have a special event in downtown Boise. It's called Paris Olympics Jumps into Boise, and it's going to be at Jump in downtown Boise on the afternoon and early evening of the opening ceremonies in Paris. And that's going to be Friday, July 26th. So they're going to have some games. They're going to have special French picnic baskets. I think we have a theme here on picnic baskets available for purchase. Demonstrations of breakdancing. And we should note that breakdancing is the newest Olympic sport. Yes, they're going to hand out medals in the best breakdancing in the world at Paris, which I think is very cool. Plus, they'll have some other events, and then they're going to put a big screen there to stream the opening ceremonies. And I'm sure you've seen some of the ads for this. Instead of the normal march of athletes in the opening ceremonies, you've probably heard or seen that they're going to float up the Seine River on barges.
Yeah.
That's going to be kind of cool. So especially if you've got little ones, number one, it's free to go. There's some breakdancing, etc. And just try to avoid the Olympics once they're on.
I think that's great. Definitely a Paris-themed event wasn't what I thought you would say, but I love it. What a fun activity.
Yeah.
My must-do activity, I have to say, it's not in Boise exactly, but every July, you've got to go to a drive-in theater. You just have to. It is quintessential summer, and July is the perfect time, like we were talking about. The weather is usually great, and fingers crossed, we don't have smoke yet, so it's a great time to still be outside. Typically, I go to the Terrace Drive-In in Caldwell. Currently, they're having some renovations, so they haven't announced an open date yet. But the Parma Motor View in Parma is open. They do all of the same drive-in theater things you'd expect. They do the double feature. So like currently they're showing Inside Out 2 and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I guess I grew up in Eastern Idaho, and we would always go to drive-in theaters in the summer, and it was so much fun to be out late and be in the back of a pickup or a car and just watching the movie and eating the snacks. And I really just every year make sure that we take our kids, we go do that. There's something just like nostalgic and fun and just perfectly summer about it. So with the Parma Motor View, just if you're planning on going, the gates open at 8:45, but the first movie doesn't start until 10. Adults are $10, kids are $4, and if you have kids under 3, they're free. They do have concessions there. You can, of course, because you're driving your car in, you can bring outside food, but they do recommend purchasing concessions because that's a big way that they make money. So like I always get the popcorn and just really maybe like the 50s vibe, drive-in foods like the onion rings or fries or something like that, just to help them out. And it's delicious.
Yeah, Lindsay, you grew up in Eastern Idaho. I grew up in like the Magic Valley area. There used to be so many drive-in theaters, and I spent a lot of time in Eastern Idaho growing up too, and like just watching all of them close over the years. I think one in Driggs just recently closed within the last few years, and I'm so sad about it. And so, yeah, people go support these businesses because it's such a fun time. It's so nostalgic, and it would be really sad if they all closed. So please go support.
I agree. My first memory is at a drive-in. I adore drive-ins. Yeah. In a sleeping bag with my sisters and mom and dad at a station wagon. So they'd back it up. We'd fall asleep by the second feature, which was usually an adult film. But it was just a blast. And speaking of, current films, Inside Out 2 is a great film, by the way.
Yeah.
Just try not to get choked up. And it's so well written. Yeah, it's dazzling, the animation. But, Pixar movies are pretty great. And if I can just make a pitch for a couple of other summer movies, Furiosa, if that one slipped away from you, you've got to see it. And what I consider a hands-down Best Picture nominee is The Bike Riders. If you haven't seen it yet, please see this movie. It is wonderful. And the source material is a picture book. But the performances from Tom Hardy and Austin Butler and Jodie Comer are as good as it gets.
Always coming in with the movie recommendations.
Yes.
Always coming in with them.
That's why we keep bringing you back, George, so we can keep our movie lists fresh.
Your first memory being at a drive-in movie theater really explains a lot about you, I feel like.
It's so true, though. It's very vivid.
Well, thank you so much, George. Thank you, Blake. I think this is an amazing guide for all the things you need to check out and try and eat in Boise. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Lindsay. I'm so excited for the month of July now.
I love it. Thanks so much.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, why not subscribe to our Hey Boise newsletter for even more July tips? We'll be back tomorrow morning with another great local story. See you then.